Hello there, Taylor with the Mal Tiempo report. Coming up after the break, we're going to be talking about Typhoon Usagi, Tropical Storm Manuel, what might become Tropical Storm Jerry. We might talk about Humberto, but probably not. But first, we're going to talk in Spanish. Primero, esto es Manuel. Manuel en el momento esta es una tormenta tropical y según el SMN hay un aviso de tormenta tropical en efecto y hay la posibilidad de lluvias torrenciales y lluvias muy fuertes y lluvias fuertes. Y la posibilidad de vientos fuertes y según el SMN, la posibilidad de mareada ciclónica, sí. Y esto es por aquí. Y por aquí en el Atlántico tiene un aviso de baja presión. Según el SMN, con este sistema tiene la posibilidad de lluvias fuertes, puntualmente muy fuertes, sí. Y esta zona de probabilidad en el momento tiene una probabilidad, sí, de 60% de desarrollo de ciclón tropical o algo así. Y esta zona podría ser la futura tormenta tropical Jerry. Jerry es el nombre de la siguiente tormenta o algo así. Y sí, por aquí hay una zona de probabilidad 20%. Esto es Humberto, pero Humberto es demasiado lejos de la Tierra, de las islas y no tiene peligros afectando Tierra o no tienen peligros afectando. No tiene peligros afectando Tierra, sí. Y según el JTWC, esta zona es una zona de probabilidad, pero según el JMA, esta es una depresión tropical en el momento. Y esto es Usagi. Usagi es por aquí. Y Usagi es un tifón muy grande, muy grande por aquí. Esto es Usagi. En las Filipinas tiene una señal de número 2 por vientos y la posibilidad de lluvias fuertes a intensas. En Taiwán tiene un aviso o una advertencia de lluvias muy fuertes para estas zonas. Sí, y esto es todo en español para hoy. So yes, this is Manuel, Tropical Storm Manuel. There was previously a hurricane warning in effect, and I believe the map is still showing as a hurricane warning, but this was recently downgraded to a tropical storm warning. So of course now the big threat is still, of course, there's winds to be expected, but the big threat is, of course, the rains. And per the NHC, there's also the possibility of the storm surge, of course, but they've got isolated maximum amounts of 20 inches possible. So there's just been parts of Mexico have been just getting inundated with rain from both sides recently with all these storms that have been going on. And then, of course, on the other side, we've got this area of probability at the moment, a 60% chance. This could be the future tropical storm Jerry, depending on how things go. But this thing, at the moment, regardless of whether it turns into anything, has the potential for heavy to very heavy rains in certain areas with that. And then, of course, if we go over to the Northwest Pacific, this is Typhoon Usagi. Usagi, where is the storm tracker page? There we go. You can see a very clearly defined eye on this thing, and this thing is huge. So parts of the Philippines, you can tell the outer bands already starting to affect that. Taiwan about to get affected by the outer bands of the rain. In the Philippines, for the Pagasa, they've got a signal number 2 for winds of those speeds that are to be expected, and the possibility, of course, of very heavy rains or heavy to intense rains with this one. And no, not surprisingly, in Taiwan, similar story. They've got an advisory right now out for extremely heavy rain. So this, apparently, if I'm reading this right, so this is heavy rain. This is extremely heavy rain, so they're expecting more rain to fall in these areas. And that is, of course, as of right now. As it gets even closer, I'm sure you're going to see all of Taiwan light up, basically. And then another storm in the Northwest Pacific. Or maybe not. Per the JTWC, they've got as a high chance of tropical cyclone formation. However, the JMA already tracking this as an unnamed tropical depression. However, I think that's far too far away from land at the moment. No land hazards on that one. So yes, back over to here. This area, 20% chance of tropical cyclone formation. Let's see if that bumps up a little bit. So the 60% chance, I'm pretty sure, is for that. So let's see. Yeah, 20% and 20%. So next 48 hours for this one, 20%. Next 5 days, still a 20%. So that leaves one more thing to talk about, which would be Umberto. Umberto, who is out here, was, well, actually, the first and only hurricane of the Atlantic season so far, I do believe. The 2013 Atlantic season. This thing apparently still hanging on to its official tropical cyclone strength, but far away from land at the moment, so the Azores Islands, no land hazards in effect, at least not per the NHC. And that is what is happening in the land of tropical cyclones. Now, for US severe thunderstorm warnings, have some probabilities today, and actually have a watch and a handful of warnings in effect at the moment. So you can see, I think you'd call that a squall line, QLCS, quasi-linear convective system going on with that. So severe thunderstorm watch for, what we got? Iowa, Kansas, Missouri, Nebraska until 8 p.m. Central this evening. And then, of course, a handful of severe thunderstorm warnings for a couple for the system up there and one down there in Arkansas. So, yes, that's what's happening right this second. In general today, this is the map showing the probability of 58 mile per hour and greater winds. So here's all of your 15% chance. Here's the map that's almost exactly the same, loses a little bit of the area, but this is showing the probability of 1 inch or larger hail today, and apparently tornadoes not really favorable for them today, and as I always like to say, doesn't mean it couldn't happen, just not, the conditions are not favorable for it, you know, stuff like that. Tomorrow, 15% chance again moves to the east, and then you've got a 5% pretty much stretching from one border to the next. SevereWeatherTV.com is the official homepage of this screencast, and yeah, it's got stuff. And then WikiWix is WICKEDWX.com, and Cyclocane is, of course, CYCLOCANE.com. It's a portmanteau, or however that word is pronounced, a cyclone and hurricane. Yeah, how about that? And that is it for today, and hopefully you're staying safe out there.